Hello and welcome to the State of Origin pre-show. I'd like to welcome the panel, Peter Sterling.
Evening, Danica.
And Andrew Johns. Good to see you both.
Never started there, did you? This is the pre-show.
It is the pre-show. We excited? State of Origin not far away, game 2?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, great time of year. So much riding on tonight, obviously. Game 2 is always, for me, the best because the result rides on it. One team trying to force a decider, the other looking to wrap up a series, and obviously golden chance for the Blues tonight.
Now, Joey, what a wild 24 hours it has been for the Queenslanders. We saw Reece Walsh ruled out with injury, Ronaldo Mulitalo now ruled ineligible. How disruptive is this for the side?
Really disruptive, I think. They wouldn't have trained together with the different combinations. I think the shortened week, they probably only would have had 2 really quick sessions with Reece Walsh at fullback. So it all changes now. The Mulitalo thing, and just scratch your head. It's not under 13s for Cessnock, is it? It's just... But, you know, rules are rules. The rules are there for a reason. And I don't know how it slipped through that he was going to play. It is just...
It's embarrassing.
It is worse than embarrassing. You know, I feel for Ronaldo. Absolutely. I feel for his family. This is the biggest day of his life, playing Origin, debuting Origin, and his family. And then to be taken away, he would be shattered, the poor young man.
I think after being beaten by 44 points too, you want everything to go smoothly. And obviously going into game 1 for Queensland, Kalen Ponga is he going to play? No. There was doubts on Harry Grant and Cameron Munster, so they had concerns going into that one. You want this one to be smooth. The only saving grace, and it's not much of one, is that with Ronaldo out of the side, Xavier Coates was just up the road. So they bring him into the camp, and that's the back 3 that played in game 1. So maybe not as much of a disruption if they had to find someone completely new.
The only thing I was worried about, Xavier had the weekend off. Surely he's been out. Surely he's been out of the syrup for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
But can you imagine also the fact that there are all these border restrictions and stuff? They're so lucky that they had Xavier there, that they're in Brisbane.
Wendell could have got Wendell back.
I think Dale Shearer's been making phone calls still. So.
What about for New South Wales? How do you think this will change things for them, or does it change things at all?
No, I don't think it changes anything. Their game plan, set in concrete. You saw in game 1, they followed it perfectly, so nothing changes for New South Wales, nothing at all.
Can you imagine this morning being in Queensland camp, being next to Paul Green when all this was just starting to come out?
Well, that's the other thing too. Paul Green's, it's his maiden series. So it's not as though, you know, he comes in under a lot of pressure anyway, but then to have this added burden thrust upon him, not easy for him. So, but, you know, Queensland always say that they are best under adversity, and they're facing plenty of it after the events of today.
We are not far away from kick-off, about 90 minutes or so. How were you feeling about 90 minutes this time before an Origin game?
Oh, it's the worst time. Well, you are. Everything's been done, and you just want to get out there. You know, the waiting has always been, I think, the most difficult part of waiting for any game, but certainly one of this magnitude. You just want to get out there, get a touch, get involved, and to me, it was all about preparation. I was superstitious. I went about certain ways to make sure that everything was right. So, but you just want this last hour to be out of the way.
What were you superstitious about? What things?
The jocks, the socks, which way they went on, and things in sitting where a whole host of different things that would make me sound very strange if I went through them all.
Joey, for you?
I'd just be on the Brasco for about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's just a waiting game. You'd be there and you're doing something, you're having to stretch, you're looking at the clock, you're like, hang on, it's only been 2 minutes since the last time I looked. But that's part of the, it's part of the build-up. You've got to understand how to handle not only the week, but the day of Origin, because it can be such a long day. So that's where the rookie's coming in. It's a tough one to handle.
Amazing things, dressing rooms before games, Danica, because everybody's got their own little quirks and the way they get you. I played with guys they'd have to wake up to go and play. John Ferguson, the great winger, he was that relaxed, he'd nod off, so they'd have to wake him up. The bell would wake him up to go out there. Other players physically sick. Arthur Beeson would throw up before games. Bloke called Steve Sharp, I played with the Parramatta, he sang Elvis songs. You know, it's all these little things going on, everybody just getting to where they need to be in their own preparation.
Well, we see the Panthers boys in for New South Wales. They've got their boombox, and that calms them down. Well, speaking of the Blues, Tom Trbojevic, a man of the match performance in Game 1. Are you expecting to see similar from him tonight?
Yeah. He's just out of this world. He's taken his form this year for the last 2 months to places I don't think I've ever seen form like it. Brett Mullins back in the 90s had a period of about 6 weeks. And then it was in 09 when Hayne went on that run with Parramatta. But this has topped that. He's just out of this world. He'll score a couple of tries again. He'll be the most influential player out there. He's just absolutely on fire.
What about Cameron Munster? What are you expecting? Obviously, a disappointing game one for him. What are you expecting from him tonight?
I think he's the danger. I think if the players around him can put him in the right positions and get the defence going, I expect kind of a much more scrappy game than we saw in game one. I think that there'll be slow play the balls as much as possible. Queensland would like to slow the ruck down the speed of this New South Wales team. I think they'll really push the boundaries in a lot of different areas. If they do that I think they'll kick early. And if they can play good field position, maybe force a couple of errors, then Cameron Munster and Daly Cherry-Evans, I think that they can work well off the back of that. So New South Wales have got to make sure that they don't get drawn into that type of game because it will bring the opposing halves into it.
Well, considering their performance in game one and considering what's gone on in the last 24 hours for Queensland, a lot of disruption. If you were Paul Green, what would your final message be to the team tonight before they run out?
Oh, look, the same as everything. Enjoy. Go out there. Get your defence right, first and foremost. Get involved in the game, because Origin is one of those arenas where you can look up and all of a sudden 20 minutes has disappeared and you haven't competed the way that you wanted to. Well, I think for Paul Green, he needs his players to be the what-if players, that I'll get somewhere just in case I'm needed. Just be there just in case. And if everybody has that mentality, then good things come from it. But he doesn't want to overload them too much, with all too much information. Said this morning on the Sunday Footy Show that there are a lot of motivations for players. One of them is embarrassment. And from game one, the Queensland players were embarrassed, and you want an opportunity to go out there and erase that. So they had that tonight.
All right, Joey, if you were Freddie, what would you be saying to the team?
I think build the game again. First 20 minutes really important. Get through your sets, all that mumbo-jumbo stuff. But the kicking game with Nathan's really important. I think he's got to get to Nathan and just say, look, we finished the game up in Townsville and it was so open, but we can't start the game in the way we finished the last game. So the first 20 minutes is really important. They build the game, earn the right to play, then I just can't see Queensland holding them. We
know Suncorp's always a bit of a daunting stadium for New South Wales to play in. They don't have the best result there. Would that have been touched on much throughout the week by Freddie, do you think, or not at all?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you would have even mentioned it. I think it plays into New South Wales' advantage because it's a really fast surface. A lot of ball movement, which suits New South Wales. So if they get the first 20, 25 minutes right, I just think they blow them away.
I think the one thing Brad Fittler did say to the players was that when you go, absorb the atmosphere. This is a great place to play. It might be a hostile environment against you, but the noise and the atmosphere, this is what you're aspiring to play in front of. So don't go out there and be put off by it. Actually take it on board and enjoy the experience.
Do you worry about everything that's happened to Queensland? Their backs against the wall, no one's expecting them to win.
Oh, that's just the biggest load of BS. I just hate it. It's just putting their hat on something that doesn't exist. Their Queensland spirit doesn't exist. How are you going to measure it? Good luck.
What worries me is that if you have a look through the big score lines through Origin, the next game is invariably closer. And there's a lot through Origin where win-loss type thing. So this is a whole different ball game. As Joey said, New South Wales got to go out and game one means nothing now. They've got to build their game again and get the job done because Queensland are going to be better.
All right, we do have some viewer questions. I know Joey loves the viewer questions. It's his favourite part.
Oh, be nice, please.
All right, Alan asks, where would you like to see game 3 played if it is moved away from Sydney?
Newcastle.
Easy answer for you.
Easy peasy.
Newcastle.
Not in Canberra, but Canberra's a really slippery surface and it's hard. The ball gets slippery. Newcastle's a fast surface. The crowd would just go bananas up there. Can you imagine? It would be as hostile as it comes.
Well, if Townsville worked, Newcastle will work for all of the same reasons.
Yep.
A crowd that love their footy up there. It's a good place to play, a good atmosphere, and it's a New South Wales game. So I think Newcastle would be absolutely perfect.
Well, Newcastle is New South Wales. So
yeah, exactly.
Canberra's not.
It doesn't get any more New South Wales than Newcastle.
Exactly. Geez, we'd have to make sure you wouldn't go missing.
I wouldn't be going up there. I can't leave home.
Oh, yeah, true.
Lockdown.
All right, well, Michael asks, do you think the no-punch rule has allowed players like Munster to get away with their tactics?
Yes. Yeah,
Look
when
at
you-
Michael Ennis towards the end of his career, pushing blokes in the head when they weren't looking. Could you imagine doing it back in the day to Paul Harrigan or Arthur Beetson or Ray Price or those blokes?
He gets stopped very quickly.
Face punched him.
We've got wingers coming in looking very brave. So times have changed. Yes, it certainly has helped.
What do you think? How do you think you get that out of the game, or is it just a way that we've got, just this nickel?
That's what happens now because you can't give anyone a punch or a backhander. Last year's series, the biggest cheer I heard was when Big Tino and Payne went at it, and there was a couple of punches thrown. Payne got his jumper ripped off him. This year in the promos, what are we watching? We're watching that. Just let them fight. Let them go at each other. No one gets hurt. The only bloke got hurt in a punch on the field's this idiot here sitting here. Just let him go. One-on-one, let him go. If someone comes in, you go to the bin.
Yeah.
Let the big boys go at it.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I can't see that ever happening.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, well,
All right, well, Jesse asked, Joey, you've played in many winning Blues teams at Suncorp. What is the secret to winning up there? Do you prepare differently?
No, I don't prepare different. I just wish to make sure that my kicking game early was really on and kick early, turn them around because, you can go out there and beat your chest and, say what you're going to do during the week. But once that fatigue set in, you start getting turned around, your lungs start burning, the atmosphere doesn't do anything for you or the home ground advantage. So that's where Nathan's really important. If he turns them around, continually turns them around and gets that fatigue in their lungs and their legs, they can have 150,000 there. It's not going to matter.
All right, who wins, by how much, and who's the man of the match?
Told you I was superstitious. I'm going exactly the same way I went before game one.
Okay.
New South Wales to win, 14 the margin, James Tedesco man of the match.
Joey?
New South Wales by 10 and Nathan Cleary man of the match.
All right. Watch this space. All right, well, don't forget all the Origin coverage. It kicks off at 7 p.m. right here on Channel 9. Check your local guides. And, of course, you can watch all the extra streams available on 9 Now. Enjoy the match.